All right, folks, welcome back to Mike and Maurice's Mind Escape. We have episode number 198 today. We're going to be discussing Journey into the Heart of Reality, which is a book written by Shiva Somadev. And you can check out that book. I have the link down below the video, so go check that out. And before we get started here, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/mindescapepodcast. For just $2 a month, you'll get exclusive guest episodes and segments. I just uploaded one with Rob Gentile from our episode Quirks of Light a few days ago, so go check that out. And we got lots of cool stuff on there and a whole catalog of other episodes and segments. And one more thing, head on over to indrasweb.org. It is live. This is a social media platform we created to connect open minds. So whether you have a theory, hypothesis, speculation, that's the place to do it. We apologize. There was a little technical issue there, but hopefully I think we got it straightened out now. And without further ado, welcome on the show, Shiva.
Thank you for having me in the show. Nice to meet you, Mike.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
So, before we got cut out before, just give us a brief overview of how you got into this Eastern philosophy and Eastern spirituality, and what was it that drew you into it?
All right. Well, I guess my interest in eternal questions and philosophy started probably in 20s, kind of developed. And reading books on philosophy, tarot, Kabbalah, and then in year 1995, discovering In Search of the Miracles by Peter Demyanovich Uspensky, disciple of Gurujev. And this book created profound impact on my understanding, and at the time seemed revolutionary. And within the book there was a leaflet of the Fourth Way School, and I gave a ring and joined the school in Moscow. So it was 1995. And I've been very impressed by the presentation and specifically by the energy of the gatherings. And I was very fortunate to have as my first spiritual teacher, English actor, very enigmatic and humorous actor, Robert Taylor. So he was, for a couple of years, director of the Moscow Center of the school. And, I specifically liked his way of conducting satsangs. Satsang is the word abiding in truth. Although we didn't have this word, we had meetings. But it is the way how he arranged the space and as you probably know, in the Fourth Way, in the Gurujev teachings, the major ideas is self-remembering and transformation of suffering. And self-remembering also Uspensky described as dividing attention. So usually he was saying that our attention goes to the object of perception, and the effort of dividing attention is the splitting attention between the object and subject. So being aware of both, like I am aware of myself being aware of objects. And if you also expand a little bit this idea of dividing attention, it's very similar to what is known as Bhairava Mudra, which is effort to comprehend all impressions simultaneously. It is effort to comprehend all sounds, all visuals, taste, kind of engage all the senses, and at the same time hold awareness on the experiencer. I am feeling this, and so with these tools, and also Robert Taylor often was forcing us to stop thoughts. And because also engagement with, we were sitting in circles, and you're looking at the person who's sitting in front of you. And when you're looking into the eyes of the person who's sitting in front of you, well, this was my practice. I mean, kind of this, how I interpreted it. And I was looking through the eyes of the person back at myself, at my body, and simultaneously was feeling my feet touching the floor, my hands touching all sensations and visuals, and engagement of panoramic vision as well. So this looking into the eyes, it releases energy. You can feel that. Yeah. And on one occasion, after the big meeting, first half, on which probably about 40 people were present, and then we divided into three different groups, three smaller groups, and in our group were, I don't know, about 16 people. And in front of me were sitting new student whom I didn't have chance yet to say hello, or kind of I didn't yet connected with him, and male, and with very kind of pronounced male energy, and kind of, yeah. And it's possibly for me, it's not so easy to look into the eyes, not to stare, but to gaze into the eyes of stranger, let's say.
Yeah, there's that one exercise that people do, like trying to connect people, whether it be at like work or whatever, where they have you stare into somebody else's eyes for like 3 minutes, and you kind of like just lose yourself in that whole thing.
Everything else melts away.
It's almost like you dissolve.
Yeah. So combining after first half of the meeting, the energy already was very intense, and combining this practice of dividing attention with the gazing into the eyes, I looked at the eyes of each other sitting in a room, and then I noticed that when I look at this person, my eyes escape the connection. And so I asked myself what I'm afraid of, and then I decided to really look into his eyes. And he was looking back at me, and I decided to completely open to his gaze, and decided to allow him to penetrate into my essence, vulnerable essence. And so this, and also kind of was telling him telepathically, mentally, do not only look at me, but with your panoramic vision, try to include everyone, all perceptions in this moment. Anyway, so this gazing created immense fear, and the room started to pulsate in inverse colors. Black swap positions with white, green with red, and then everything was floating in the air, let's say, kind of like a waves of energy. And my instinctive mind was telling me to stop there. don't go any further, because you've never been there. And if you step any more into this unknown, into this energy, you don't know what is going to happen. It could be death, or could be even worse, could be insanity. But strongest part of me, what's in fourth way school known as a King of Hearts, which is intellectual part of emotional center, said, no, I'm ready to go. And so I'm sort of harnessed this energy of fear, because fear is it's compact energy, and often we run away from fear, or just instinctively we just backing off. And if we are able to accept and go into fear, and then fear can be as a very powerful fuel for consciousness to expand. And that's what happened. I basically was catapulted out of the space-time continuum into what can be called fifth dimension, which is sort of like you can see the four-dimensional world as from the different perspective. And
yeah, that's interesting. So it was almost like a very spiritual or psychedelic type experience, it sounds like, that you were having there. Do you think, like, when is that something you practice regularly now, like looking deeply into other people's eyes, and is it something that's evolved over time, or is that something that...
Yes, it is evolved, and I'm very much cherish this practice and these lessons which I learned from Robert Taylor. And well, now I'm kind of giving satsangs as well here on Isle of Wight. I live now in England on Isle of Wight, and well, not at the moment, but I will giving satsangs. I will will come back to the point why I started to lead satsangs.
Okay.
It was after 40 days fasting, and it's kind of like connected with this. Yes, it's kind of my idea of satsang. Satsang is not like people understand satsang as a sort of questions and answers. Kind of students asking teacher about questions about reality, about nature of reality, what is this and this, and teacher explain. And this is supposed to be satsang, but from my opinion, it's not really satsang. Satsang is transmission of energy. It's the building up energy. It's first of all, the leader of satsang should be purified, very clear, kind of within himself, and otherwise it's will be a lie to speak about higher dimension from the lower point of view. If you have so you have to bring yourself first into the state, into higher state of consciousness, and then kind of you yes, engaging people into looking into each other eyes, and being present, of course, and words of truth, speaking from your heart. Yes, mostly inviting people into being present, and so you're building the spiritual energy, let's say, kind of, and the energy is the guide. Energy is in Hindu tradition, it's Shakti is the way to Shiva. The energy is the way to consciousness, to intelligence, to explosion of intelligence, and also the truth is abiding within everyone's heart, and it's innate knowledge. So basically, satsang is release of this innate knowledge. It's not knowledge not comes from somewhere else. It comes from within. So basically, the aim of satsang is to create this energy which allows to blossom this knowledge. So yes, I'm using this practice within the satsangs. So,
So
just returning to
let's get into
yeah.
your book, The Journey into the Heart of Reality. So did you have, like what was the lead up into that? Did you have a spiritual teacher that kind of guided you to get to that point, or is this something that you've kind of just created all on your own, or?
Right. So I've been in the fourth way school for 8.5 years. Um, well, I was very close to the head teacher of the fourth way school. Kind of after a couple of years being in Moscow Center, then I started traveling with the head teacher, and well, as you know from the book, we had the sexual relationships, and well, it was shock, of course, and but I just accepted it very lightly, and well, I was learning lots of things in the fourth way school. I mean, kind of like it was very valuable time. But
I just want to point out too, the fourth way school was developed by Gurdjieff. So if people don't know who Gurdjieff is, look up. Gurdjieff was kind of this mischievous spiritual teacher that would kind of throw people into situations and have them kind of just figure it out and open their minds to different, not conventional situations, if you will. I just wanted to point that out for people.
Yeah. But I just want to point as well, kind of, that the head of this school wasn't Gurdjieff, of course.
Right.
Yes, so it was Robert Burton, which is school is situated in California.
Okay.
So anyway, well, basically, to make this shorter, after 8.5 years of being in the fourth school, I just start getting really. First, I lost my trust to teacher, and secondly, I start to feel more and more the limitations of Gurdjieff's ideas, and at one point, while I've been living in teaching house. Well, teaching house is kind of places where people sort of like the centers are situated in certain towns around the world of the school, where the kind of the hub of the fourth way activity going on. So I lived there with my wife, and after very shocking conversation with head teacher of the school, I decided to leave. And so I left the school. Kind of, after being 8.5 years in the school, it's also Gurdjieff teachings is very tricky in a way, because you sort of like within the society, and it sort of feels like outside of the school, nothing really good flourishes. The school is the center, kind of like, and this is family and stuff like this. So it was quite a big step to leave the school. So, and I went, I said goodbye to my wife as well, and went to Russia, to Crimea. And while I was in an airplane, I was reading Ramana Maharshi, Be As You Are. And so when I went to Crimea for meditation, and was very much impressed by Ramana Maharshi teaching, and at the heart of which is self-inquiry, the question, who am I? And bringing awareness to the source, to the self. And so after practicing self-inquiry, I returned back to England, where my friend was waiting for me with the packet of psilocybin mushrooms.
There you go.
So, yeah, so this is the beginning of the story. So, and yeah, it was second time I did try psilocybin mushrooms. First was very intense as well, but this one was way more powerful. And so together with this practice of self-inquiry, as well as surrender to whatever is going to happen, kind of no resistance at all, kind of whatever mushrooms is going to take me, I'm ready, death or not death, ready to go. So, and I think it wasn't big portion, probably around 3 or 4 Mexican dry mushrooms, but it was very profound experience. After kind of walking a little bit on the street, seeing changing colors and shapes, vibrating and energy, we returned back home, and I sat just in meditation on a sofa and went into the self-inquiry, and my awareness turned within and concentrated on the third eye, in search of the perceiver, and then it starts sliding down the throat, and also I feel very big pressure on my sahasrara, the top of my head, and then it was sensation that top of my head was open with the laser scalpel, and the cloud of thoughts evaporated, and then my awareness moved deeper within, and within the region of upper lungs, I start to experience celestial realm with the Gandharvas playing divine music, and all external impressions were switched off. And then still in search of the self, attention moved down, and then slightly on the right side of the chest, which is known as a spiritual heart, Hridayam. This is the center, or Hrid chakra. So yeah, and this is the kind of, when you're reaching this point, there's realization of coming home, and also realization that you never ever left this home. You're always here. It's just kind of so, paradox.
Yeah, we don't give enough credit to the heart. Our last guest in our last episode we did had a heart transplant. He had 2 near-death experiences, and the one experience, he said he saw a million little lights all connected, and his book's called Quirks of Light, and just this idea of like non-duality, right? Like everything's connected and we're all part of this one thing. And I mean, I definitely identify with your experience too, but I feel like we don't, give the heart enough credit in terms of, obviously it pumps the blood and does all this, we think about it as like a just like like an important part of the physical process of our body, but in terms of like spiritual and anything metaphysical, I don't think we really correlate that usually.
All right. Well, there's quite a lot of research have been done around electromagnetic force,
right,
around the spiritual heart. Kind of, it's much more stronger than the electromagnetic force in the brain.
Right.
So, and also, well, in my meditation, specifically with psilocybin mushrooms, it's almost every time my awareness goes to the heart, and just standing there as a threshold of the heart, I consider as kind of this. Well, the whole body, our whole body is cosmos, really, and within this cosmos is parallel realities, alien beings, and within it, black hole. It's also kind of it's a quasar or sun radiating the rays of consciousness outside through the senses. But at the time of returning back, kind of when the awareness going within and within with the self-inquiry and merging within the black hole, it's turning into black hole. And there's singularity point as well, which is sort of it's where the knowledge of infinity exists, let's say. And also it's a singularity point, sort of beginning of a wormhole into different realities. And,
I like it. It's kind of like Schwaller de Lubit's Temple of Man kind of a thing, where it's an analogy that the human body is kind of, like you're saying, encompassing of the stars or the cosmos. And actually, to your point, I mean, psilocybin's my favorite psychoactive compound. I've just feel a connection to it, and anytime I experience it, it's like a feeling of going home. It's this warm embrace kind of a thing. And yeah, I mean, I know different people like different things, but I definitely feel, I've had similar experiences.
I'm very happy to hear this, Mike. So, well, just continue from this point. And on the second day, I'm still in a very heightened state of consciousness, and in very, my friend is very impressed with my account, and we're going into the shop and buying some more psilocybin mushrooms. They were legal in London at this time, and and we're taking the second portion. And
when was this? What year was this roughly?
Just second day. When was it was? I think it was in 2003. Okay. Yeah. So long story.
I mean, I guess it's not. It is a while ago, but it's crazy to think that 2000 or 2003 was already 20 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and with the second portion, what happened? In the beginning, I was engaged in self-inquiry, but the question "Who am I?" did not make any grasp to my being. It was just standing as a question without any kind of like reverberation. And then I just decided to lie down on a bed. And while lying down, gradually, this question started to penetrate deeper within me. And then I kind of my body was in a very, very quiet state, almost without breathing, for about a couple of hours. Just a very, very shallow breathing. And then suddenly, without any volition from me, it's exploded with the very intense breathing, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, filling all my cells, molecules with the electrifying energy, just kind of buzzing, and bodies transforming into the energy, basically. And so it's continuing for quite a while till I cannot breathe any longer, and I'm breathing out, and basically I just kind of feeling I'm going into death. Wow. And that's it. But body, of course, continued struggle, and the battle for the coming home continues. But anyway, kind of the point is, this was the beginning of. So the magic mushrooms told me the significance of pranayama. So this was the first really, really deep lesson of about the role of prana in awakening.
Now, you've created a type of yoga, right? It's called Kumbhaka Prana Yoga. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And I looked up Kumbhaka, the word, and it says it means vessel, like holding air in a vessel or something like that. So In terms of yoga, this would mean what? That you're holding your breath while you're doing certain poses, or?
No, it's well, I basically before it became Kumbhaka Prana Yoga, I just call it intuitive dynamic breathing meditation. So so basically, Kumbhaka Prana Yoga have, as you rightly said, Kumbhaka means retention of breath. Kumbhaka also Kumbh means pot. And what's happening in Kumbhaka Prana Yoga, while you are engaged in pranayama, dynamic intuitive breathing, like intense, in and out, you're filling your pot with the pranic energy. You're purifying your nadis system. Nadis is subtle energy channels within your body, with the three main channels, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna at the spinal cord. So you're purifying your energy, your nadi channels. Also, they could be translated as rivers, nadis, the energy channels. And apparently there's great amount of them, like Upanishads talking about 72,000 nadis within the body.
Right.
Or even more. So it's the whole system of kind of, and you're feeling the kumbh, your body is kumbh pot. And then when you fill up this pot with this pranic energy, you closing the lid. It's kumbhaka, kind of like you, and staying in retention of breath. You feel intuitively when you need to. It's kind of like, let's say, kind of like if you intensely breathing, like even, I don't know, for 30, 40 times, at a certain point, you will start to feel that you start to losing consciousness, or you start to faint. And
is this similar or the same thing as like alkaline breathing? Because we had a guest on where I was doing
almost did faint.
These deep breaths, and I almost did faint. Everything was getting very, almost like a psychedelic experience. It was becoming very intense, and it was just these deep breaths in and out, like fast breaths. Is that similar?
I guess so. There's many different pranayamas, and also holotropic breathing, of course.
Yeah, that's what this was, is holotropic breathing. Yeah.
Yes. Well, holotropic breathing do not use kumbhakas. Holotropic breathing is like, let's say, kind of 1 hour and a half or maybe 2 hours straight. You're just breathing non-stop, and the aim is to create catharsis, the release of emotions, and people go through the rebirthing process, so kind of like they experiencing the heal the subconscious traumas through
Wim Hof's a big
yes, Wim Hof as well, kind of. Wim Hof probably the closest things to Kumbhaka Prana Yoga, I would say, because it's in Wim Hof method, he usually kind of advises about 30 breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in 30 times, and then you're breathing out, holding your breath, and then you breathing in, holding your breath. So Kumbhaka Prana Yoga is similar, but it's more intuitive, I would say. It's because the aim of Kumbhaka Prana Yoga is to awaken the inner intelligence, intuition, which you already have. Your body possesses this intelligence. You just need to. The whole process of awakening is to find the ways to activate your innate intelligence, to awaken your innate intelligence, which already you possess. So it's not bringing something from outside. It's all you already have it. So you just prana and pranayama is
you're just enhancing your awareness that you already have. You just don't know usually.
Yes. So Kumbhaka Prana Yoga have 5 limbs, so to speak. The first one is bhavana. Bhavana is a sort of certitude, affirmation and certitude. Bhavana, like let's say, I am Brahman, I am consciousness, I am energy, I am the reality, I am eternal. So this, you come to this realization through different methods. You can come to this realization through study science, let's say quantum mechanics, or studying scriptures like Ribhu Gita, very powerful book of on affirmation on bhavana. So bhavana is certitude that I am reality, indestructible reality. And so this certitude gives you courage to experiment and plunge deeper into subconsciousness, unconsciousness, superconsciousness, and by experimenting or kind of experimenting with even going into the states of resembling more death while kind of having heroic doses of magic mushrooms. So with the experiments, you are verifying that actually this is truth, and so it's strengthening your bhavana. So they kind of work in tandem together. First, affirmation and trust in these words: I am reality, I am consciousness. And second, verifications, and which strengthening bhavana. So then next limb is Bhairava Mudra, which I already explained as in comparison with divided tension.
Yeah.
So it's attempt to comprehend a maximum impressions simultaneously. And let's say kind of you're just fixing your gaze in one spot, you're opening up your panoramic vision, peripheral vision, and you are sort of able to perceive everything simultaneously and engage as well all sounds and bring awareness, but the attention turned within and facing the experiencer, perceiver, sense of self. So, and this effort expanding your awareness, expanding your attention. So then the third one is self-inquiry, which is Ramana Maharshi teaching, direct method. And self-inquiry begins with the question, who am I? But who am I
That's a
is
great
only
question, right?
Yes, it's the most important question, of course. And who am I is only the question just gives direction to awareness to travel in search of the sense of self, the sense of I. So, and yeah, further, you don't need question. You just kind of your awareness going within and in search of the experiencer. So the fourth part, of course, it's and the most important part, I would say, is dynamic Kumbhaka Pranayama, which is because the Kumbhaka Pranayama provides you with the needed energy to break through all kind of blockages, and Kumbhaka Pranayama triggers innate intelligence to manifest, to come out. And in addition, kind of on later stages, you can also engage what I call shamanic trance dance, which is while you engaged in Kumbhaka Pranayama together with all Bhairava Mudra, Bhavana, and self-inquiry, you can add intuitive, spontaneous movements of your body, fingers, tongue. So you kind of facilitate the energy, your innate intelligence, to start to move you. The whole process is to trigger what is called in Kashmir Shaivism Samavesha. Samavesha is divine possession. So basically, you bring yourself into the state where your energy, some can call it Kundalini Shakti, or Prana Shakti, So that your innate energy awakens and possesses you.
Hmm.
And in this way, so the Samavesha is divine possession, or otherwise the perfect entrance into the highest realms of reality.
So do you think that these methods can help you get to kind of that psychedelic state, if you will, with some of these practices? I think that's the goal, right, of anybody that's ever meditated or done psychedelics or is aware of these things, is to achieve those states without actually taking any psychoactive compounds.
Oh yes, definitely. The prana is sufficient enough, and other limbs sufficient enough to take you in a very high state of consciousness. But of course, if you add the wisdom of sacred plants such as psilocybin mushrooms, and specifically heroic doses, I'm just speaking like about, I don't know, 15, 20, even 30 grams of dry.
Yeah, that's
It's
intense.
it's
too
far
much.
I think
more than,
Terrence McKenna would call heroic dose 5 grams dried.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that, we've had a lot of people in our chats talk about, taking that much. I mean, the most I've ever taken, I think I've talked about on our trip report episodes, was 10 dried, and that was super intense.
I've taken 2.
Right. Well, I would say I'm quite extreme, kind of in my longing for truth. So I kind of like, well, basically, I mean, kind of, we live life, and I feel the most important things in the whole world is the truth, and to experience the truth, you should be ready to sacrifice everything, even your life, even your sanity. And when you kind of entering these states, which basically it's a death, kind of, or insanity, you humbly offering your ego, your mind for the annihilation to the energy, which is then to take over your efforts and delivers you into the highest realms of reality. Well, here, I mean, kind of, I'm very happy to live on Isle of Wight, where we have quite lots of liberty caps growing in the fields.
Yeah, the UK definitely does. And also, I think the tides are turning in terms of psychedelic research, psychedelic medicine, and the availability of it. I know the UK is still a little bit stricter with all that kind of stuff than the United States, and obviously here in the States we do have some states where it's been decriminalized and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that with the science, with the research, with the people, the investors, and all the stock traders and all that kind of stuff, I think those are going to be what drives this thing to the next level. It's kind of like a balance thing. Like, yeah, you wish it wasn't the case. You wish it was just, cognitive liberty. We're allowed to just do these things. And if you can jump out of a plane, how come you can't eat a handful of, mushrooms, something like that? But at the same time, like I said, I think that you'll see some of the science and the money markets and everything. It'll drive it similar to, how cannabis became legal in a lot of states here in the U.S.
Yeah, only yesterday was a program on BBC Two about Professor Nutt.
Yeah.
So about one whole hour about the psilocybin mushrooms as treatment for depression and
absolutely
these sort of things.
Yeah, David Nutt.
Sort of,
he's I like his work. I find it interesting, and there's a lot of great stuff going on there. Imperial College does a lot of good research. There's a lot of stuff going on in like I said, in the UK. So hopefully, we can get this thing to the point where everybody, if they want to do it, cool. If they don't want to do it, the availability of it similar to like what alcohol, or like I said, even in the States, how cannabis is now.
Right. So, where did we kind of
Oh, so I
did
guess
stop
so.
our story?
What's the message then, or like what's the basis that you've come away with this practice and these experiences? Like what's the thing that you can take away that you can tell other people about or help them achieve those states?
Right. Well, I mean, among many psychedelic experiences, I probably had more than 100, and some of them with very big doses of the psilocybin mushrooms. One was absolutely of different quality, and it happened 2013, in December 2013. And so this one was took me into the realm of divine language. So it was full possession. The energy took over and just was rolling my body through the various postures, and I lost all world.
Yeah, grasp on reality.
All shackles, and
You have to a dose that large too. You have to kind of just give in and let it. Like you can't maintain that control, right? You have to just let it go and just be the experience, right?
yeah, of course. Yeah. And also you have to, well, I like this expression, only those who attempt absurd can achieve impossible. So you basically you have to go all the way into death, into fear, into impossible, because truly you are the self, you are the reality, and nothing is impossible, really. So, and this is the way to. I mean, kind of. I would not advise everyone to take mushrooms. Or
Of course not. I look at it as like a
yeah,
tool.
but
It's there if you want it, or experience it. But again, I think even with like psychedelic medicine and the psychedelic research, it's like if it could be used as a tool, but it's not for everybody. Some people prefer conventional medicine or therapy. Some people prefer, other ways to do things. I know they're even trying to create these compounds that, are taken from these psychoactive compounds that are not psychoactive. So they're using these compounds that they're taking the psychedelic aspects out of it, but it's still treating some of these, things. And I know some people are against that, but like I said, I look at it as many options as possible is good. That's the way I look at it. More tools in the toolbox. Some people want to experience it, some people don't, but either way, it's there, kind of a thing.
yeah, definitely. And well, I'm not taking lately. I'm just using very rarely, maybe like once a year. And obviously, I prepare set and setting should be sometimes. The magic mushrooms are not only teaching you about the blissful and higher states of consciousness, they also show you hell, which is the other very important lesson. And I've been in hell many times, and there's like very deep realization what hell is. And
would you consider that you confront like some people call it a bad trip, some people call it hell, but would you consider that maybe you having some sort of emotional or anxiety or baggage going into it, and then when you're forced to confront your own demons or your own issues or something like that?
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a bad trip is really just you not prepared to deal with and process your own stuff that you've been putting off or, not dealing with at that point.
Very often it's happened when the settings not chosen rightly. For example,
Okay.
if there's bad weather, kind of like a cold, or you are within the company of some strange people, or these sort of things. So this is triggers. But the point is kind of when you're experiencing this lower realms of reality, you have realization that you actually have been there before. And you know that the most frightening thing is kind of like the realization that this exists forever as well. So, and there is possibility that you will be there one day. So you kind of like, now you're safe, but then, so, and it's bring us as well kind of to the Bardo Chedol, Tibetan Book of Death, which I consider as a very important and very profound teaching about different realms of reality and about moment of death, luminosity. Yes, and our life, it seems to me, given us to figure out what is important and what is not so, what is permanent, what is worth striving for. And obviously, Her Majesty Truth is the only one which is because it is truth, and it is forever there. And as Upanishad says, self cannot be known through the subtlety of the intellect or through much study, but to who longs for the self reveals its true nature. So the longing is very important, which sort of, I think, is a sort of bhakti, devotion towards the truth. Your willingness to die, willingness to sacrifice everything for love, in other words, for truth. So, and yeah.
I was gonna say, do you have any interest in microdosing, or are you just strictly focused on taking yourself somewhere else?
Yeah, no, surely, yeah, microdosing is probably a very good tool for, especially kind of for boosting your intellectual kind of capacity, I think, and yeah, also kind of in health, for health reasons, yeah. But yeah, I'm more interested in one heroic plunge.
So I know you wanted to keep it under an hour, so let's kind of wrap it up here. So again, people can check out your book. I have the link down below at the bottom, and Journey into the Heart of Reality. Is there something that, like I said, is there anything that you have that's like a message for people, or is there anything that you want to say before we get out of here?
Well, be curious, be courageous, use your discriminative logic to separate what is important for you and what is not important or less important. For death is not the end of existence. It's just only a portal where everything is possible, and basically what we learn and how we kind of dealing with this life situation and experimenting. Yeah, I'm kind of highly encouraging people to experiment to find the truth for themselves. They kind of, the truth cannot be found in books, or it's only can be confirmed by someone who had previously experienced it. But ultimately, truth can only be found within our own self.
Through experience, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, Shiva, this was an interesting conversation, and I really enjoyed your book and enjoy, your message and your willingness to explore the mind and kind of, these breathing techniques and everything. So, I don't know. I think that, like I said, hopefully we can get past this whole stigma of these substances, and so people feel more freely, to, like you said, experiment and kind of go places in their mind. But yeah, I really appreciate, your book and your message, and we'll have you again on in the future, and that's it. So again, go check out Shiva's book. I have the link down below, Journey into the Heart of Reality, and the link is down below the video. And one more time, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/MindEscapePodcast. For just $2 a month, you'll get exclusive guest episodes and segments. I just uploaded a couple. And one more thing, head on over to indrasweb.org. It is live. This is a social media platform we created to connect open minds. So if you like having these kinds of discussions, head on over there and set up a profile. And listen, we really appreciate you coming on and appreciate your time. And I'm glad we got the technical stuff figured out. And we love everybody. Stay safe out there. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.